That's points in 5 straight games for the Blackhawks, but Steven Stamkos scores a hat trick, and that's enough for Nashville to beat the Hawks in overtime. We'll wrap it all up next on the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi.
Hello.
Sarah's here as well, running the show. Hawks lose 3-2 in overtime to basically Steven Stamkos, who could have had 4 goals in this game, had a goal disallowed as well.
Yeah.
My
Pretty
fault.
close.
This is my fault.
That's what you do for opening your big mouth.
I
Jay.
did. What day was that? I did this
That was
on...
like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yes, it was March 4th, which is 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Pointed a video of Steven Stamkos' 13-game pointless streak. Since then, he has 8 points in his last 3 games, so Nashville owes me something. I get a free fried bologna sandwich next time I go to Roberts or something for that. That is 100% my bad.
You got to check your Twitter followers and see if there's a Believe in Blamkos burner account following you that saw that tweet.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, that's the story of the game, and I think before we get started, do us a favor, hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you. We love you. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, all that wonderful stuff on your favorite podcast app. And tell a friend. We would appreciate that very much. I want to start today, Mario, with the Blackhawks goaltending. And obviously Spencer Knight has been outstanding in his 2 starts for the Hawks. Arvid Soderblom was great tonight against Nashville, gave the Hawks a chance to win. And I'm wondering, as much as we're feeling good about this 5-game point streak and the overall vibes around the team, I wonder if some of the Blackhawks woes are being masked by some outstanding goaltending.
Well, they definitely are. I mean, you look at these last 5 games, they've only put up more than 20 shots on goal once.
Yeah.
And it was 20 shots on goal, and the 20th shot was Connor Bedard's OT winner last night. So offensively, they're not generating a ton.
No.
So it is clearly the goaltending that has been keeping them in games, that has been giving them chances to win, chances to force overtime. Like it is on the shoulders of the performances of Arvid Soderblom and Spencer Knight since he's been here. 2 games, 2 wins, and a .951 save percentage. Like that is the reason that they've won those games. And sometimes teams build a team to do that. They have goaltending that's going to carry them.
Sure.
And they do enough to have a chance on most nights to score 2 or 3 goals, and then you have a defense and a goaltender that shuts it down. I think Luke Richardson would have loved to have had Spencer Knight and Arvid Soderblom playing the way that they have been. But I think when you have goaltending like this, yeah, it can mask some of the deficiencies of a team, but this was a team that has been deficient well before they've had this good goaltending. 100%. So it's just good that you have the goaltenders playing at this level, especially when in the last week or basically in the last few days, it's been made very well known that Soderblom and Knight are the guys moving forward this year and most likely into next year too.
Yeah, and it's, you had hopes coming into this game that, they've played some better opponents lately, and Nashville is a team that's not good. They're hardly ahead of the Hawks in the standings, and they've massively underachieved this year. Mm-hmm. And it was still, especially that first period, where the Hawks just could not get the puck. They couldn't generate anything. Yeah. Just spent the entire period in their own end, and I'm curious why that is. And I know that this is not the fastest team right now. Fortunately, a lot of their prospects in the system are very fast, but it seems more systemic to me that they're getting pinned in. But again, Soderblom stands tall, gives him a chance to win. And then they responded pretty well. I like the way that, I don't love having to fight after a clean hit. That hit on Frank Nazar was clean, but it's good to see as we talk about the culture and we talk about the vibes of this team. Colton Dach didn't even think twice. Yeah, he saw a star teammate get hit and said, well, F that. I'm about to go punch this guy in the face repeatedly and maybe punch the ice once and take the penalty. And in a season like this, fine. I'd much rather have the team bond over something like that than watch a star player get hit, clean or not.
Yeah, I think that moment is like there's two sides to it for sure. Like you don't want to kill any momentum that you have because that was, offensive zone. Dach could have gone into the corner to get the puck, but rather he went in to get the guy that hit Nazar. And yeah, like you're gonna come away with a penalty there. It's not going to be two guys each getting 5 minutes for fighting. Yeah. That Colton Dach is getting the extra 2 minutes on there. So then you put yourself down on the penalty kill. And I think that's one of those moments where, as we've learned about Colton Dach and what he is and who he can be as a pro and what's going to get him to and keep him in the NHL, it's consistency. It's, as Andrew Sorensen has said, it's playing with emotion, but not emotional.
Yes.
And I think that might be one of those moments where it's like, I want to say like, that's where you might say like, that's an emotional response rather than playing with emotion because you're jumping in to defend Frank Nazar, which look, I'm never gonna, dog guys for defending their teammates. That's a big part of hockey. It's a big part of it's a big part of the shifting culture and seeing the young guys do it for each other is great to see. But I think that is like one of those things that maybe they go back and say like, hey, we love the aggressiveness, but also situationally not the smartest move.
Yeah. I'm of two minds of it though, because you don't want to, I don't know if you want to coach that passion out of guys. And, you saw Nazar appreciated that, was right there when Dach got up and tapped him with the stick, and the guys in the bench were, and look, like players are always going to prefer that sort of stuff. They're not of the analytical mind. They don't care about, what going shorthanded. They want their teammates stuck up for. And it is a fine line. I think Colton Dach probably deep down knows that wasn't the greatest time to do that. But I'd much rather see the team coming together, feeling like a team. It didn't feel that way earlier this year. It felt like 12 forwards and 6 defensemen skating on the ice together. Since the Four Nations face-off has ended, this has felt more like a team than they've ever felt. So I will accept it. Yeah. I think give it a couple days, and then maybe Sorensen says, hey, let's be a little more selective with our responses instead of taking them aside today when the raw emotion's there and just kind of make it more of a big picture thing. Because there's other ways to get it back. Take a number, line them up later. You're going to get your opportunities. But I like the fact that Colton Dach's first instinct was defend a teammate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there have been a number of times this season where there have been, borderline hits. There have been scrums. There have been times where, a goaltender's been run into or something like that on a play in the crease. And, there's a couple guys, jump in and hug and stuff. There have been a few times where I've kind of like looked around at who's on the ice and been like, anybody going to do anything?
Yeah. Someone needs to do something.
So I'm definitely not going to, sit here and, berate Colton Dach for jumping in on a moment like that. So I think you're right. I think there is a way to make sure that it's a teachable moment, but not to take that out of his game, because that's part of what's going to make him, an NHL regular, is being able to be a guy that's going to play physical, stick up for teammates, and kind of be, one of those like glue type of players in the locker room. And he talked about it a couple days ago. I asked him about, the leadership group and the veterans around the room and, what he's taken from them this season. And he said that guys like Pat Maroon and Nick Foligno are guys that he's, takes a moment to, be around and be a sponge and kind of take in some things that they can teach him about being in the NHL and being in that kind of like power forward role. So that's a part of his game that is going to evolve, but it'll be more effective as he grows into an NHL player.
And we thank everybody for being with us. Big crowd watching. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us and hit that subscribe button as well. 3 stars of the game. Number 3, Arvid Soderblom stopped. My math is 38 of 41 shots. There you go. He's number 3 star. Justus Annunen stopped 17 of 19. He gets a 2nd star.
Congrats.
Okay. And Steven Stamkos with the hat trick, of course, is your number 1 star. Here are your nominees for 4th star today. Ilya Mikheyev with a goal. Just an overall solid effort from him. Solid on the forecheck, solid on the penalty kill, and then Twine, which is good. Alex Vlasic with a goal, 25-15 of ice time, 2 shots, 2 hits, and I think he had a much cleaner game than he's had recently. There's been a few games over the last month or so where Vlasic has looked maybe a little bit tired, maybe a little bit overworked. I was a little worried about, because when Seth Jones was out, I think that's when Vlasic looked the worst.
Yeah.
And now that he's gone, that number 1 defenseman role falls to him. I think he had a really solid game tonight. And Louis Crevier with 5 hits, 4 block shots, and, of course, the disallowed goal. And I heard Rick Ball say this during the game, and I'm with him. And I know they'll never do it. But reviewing offside, I'm so done with it, man. It's like, if it's not obvious.
Well, it was, though.
But sure. But it's not. It was on replay, but
yeah.
It's not. It didn't like truly impact the play. If it can't be seen with the naked eye,
yeah.
I think it probably shouldn't be reviewed. Or I would at least like to see them tweak it a little bit, where if the other team touches the puck and has control, then it's wiped out. It can't be like. And this was not one of those, but it was. Sometimes you'll see 35 seconds go by.
Yeah, it'll be a zone. It'll be a zone entry, and then they'll hold. The puck will stay in the zone for a minute, and then they'll score. And yeah, the defending team will have a failed clear or something like that. Like, yeah, I would agree that in that case,
this one was obvious.
It was
on
obviously
replay,
an offside. Yeah. I mean, it's just frustrating that like tennis and soccer have goal line technology or have, the technology to track the ball or the puck and the boundaries and everything. And they get it right way more often than I think just the replay system in the NHL does. But again, I mean, I'd rather a call be correct. So I am okay with the replay, but I totally understand the side of, you get one look at it, and if it's indecisive, then whatever you call on the ice is irreversible.
You're right about the other sports and the technology. I think with offside specifically, the issue is that you can carry it. Your feet can be in the zone as long as you have the puck, and then you could pull it over the line. As long as you maintain control.
You know what it sounds like? We need to simplify the rule.
But I still think you could use that technology to see if the puck crossed the goal line or, beat the clock or whatever. Yeah. But because of the weirdness of the offside rule,
well, and the NFL's got the cameras in the pylons. Like you're telling me you can't put a camera in the board along the blue line?
Oh, yeah, they should. Yeah, they should 100% do that. Yes, that should be that's an obvious, easy thing to do. They should do that 100%.
Above my pay grade.
I was thinking about like some sort of chip in the puck or something that
they
senses when it's over.
They tried that, and then they stopped doing that. They put the chips in the puck, and they were like, we don't like this technology.
Reven says, I'm sick of the replay because every single time it goes against the Hawks' favor.
That's true. That's also true.
Hey, you know what? Today, high stick. That went the Hawks' way, so that's fine.
Yeah. It evened out 1-1.
All right, we got to hit the break zone. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Again, get your votes in for the 4-star Mikheyev, Vlasic, or Crevier. We'll get to your super chats a little bit later in the show. I'm going to talk about Connor Bedard next. Kind of a mixed bag in this game. That's coming up next on the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Show.
Hey, did you take more than the amount of saves that Arvid Soderblom was going to get on PrizePicks? If you did, you are a smart person.
Good job.
PrizePicks. What is it? Well, I'll tell you. It's the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. The app is really easy to use. All you got to do is create a lineup and pick more than or less than on tons of different stat categories for players across the board, and you have a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. It's the best place to win cash while watching sports. You can join over 10 million users and sign up today. And the cool thing about PrizePicks is you can mix and match players. You can mix and match sports. Combine your favorite basketball players like Josh Giddey and your favorite hockey players like Connor Bedard and your favorite esports athletes. That question mark is for me, not on the copy. And many
Clappy's
more.
Guy, right?
Who?
Clappy?
Clappy?
No sleeves. That's our
Slappy.
favorite.
Slappy, Clappy.
I don't know.
Dappy?
I'm going to say no sleeves. That's our favorite video gamer because he came on our show once.
Is he esports or a streamer?
Yes.
Yeah. He does something with
He is
video
one of
games.
those.
Hey, but you can do all of that in one selection, and if you hit them all, then you are a winner. PrizePicks is a really awesome app. I love using it. It's the best way to win real money this season. Big college basketball tournament coming up this month. It's full of madness.
Which month is this?
It's March.
Oh.
Yeah, and I feel like PrizePicks is going to be the place to go for all those more than or less than picks. Get all your lineups, get all your money. Download the app today. Use the code CHGO. When you do, you're going to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the PrizePicks app. Use the code CHGO. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.
And you may have heard, but light beer just got better. It's right here. It is icy cold. It is Sam Adams American Light. It's clean. It's crisp. It's super easy to drink. No gimmicks, no fluff. It's just great tasting light beer. Sam Adams American Light is not your average light beer. It's brewed with 100% American source ingredients from local independent farmers, and those are the best kind. It's light beer that's made right. Light beer should never, ever feel like a compromise, and with Sam Adams American Light, it doesn't. It's an American classic, so smooth, you want to crack open another one. It's always Sam's season. Light beer just got better. Grab some Sam Adams American Light. Available now at select Chicago retailers. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly. And that brings us to What's Brewing, presented by Sam Adams American Light. Nick Lardis, good old number 16 for the Brantford Bulldogs.
Scoring goals.
70 goals on the season for Nick freaking Lardis. That's good.
That's incredible.
And our chat's arguing about how good is he going to be. I don't know, but he scored 70 effing goals.
He scored 70 goals.
And I'd rather,
yeah, but how good
right,
are
but I'd rather
they?
have him score 70 than less than 70.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll take it.
Eighth player in the history of the OHL to reach the 70-goal plateau. The first to do it since John Tavares did it in 2006-2007. He scored 72. The other guy who has scored 70 goals in the OHL in the last 35 years, as researched by our friend of the program, Cam Robinson, was Eric Lindros, who scored 71 back in the 80s.
71.
So,
Lardis will have that done by Tuesday.
In the last 35 years, Lardis is on pace to be the highest scoring OHL player ahead of guys like Tavares and Lindros. And I think the other the other six guys that have reached the 70-goal plateau other than Tavares and Lardis now, it all happened in the 80s when I'd say when
goalies were plumbers.
I'd say that well, they were 16-year-old plumbers in the OHL.
Apprentices, we call them.
It is special. It's Nick Lardis. I did not expect to have this kind of goal scoring season this year. He's been on the ascent in the OHL the last few seasons. Last year was hampered with injuries, but he still had 50 points in 37 games. What he's been doing this year is incredible. I'd like to think that his playmaking ability, his goal scoring ability will translate to the pro game. We're going to see it next year. He'll get time in Rockford. He'll push for time in the NHL for sure. Like a season like this is making it harder and harder to say, no, I don't think he'll jump right in the NHL. Like he'll get an opportunity through training camp. So very excited to see what Nick brings to the table at the next level.
Yeah, I just want to encourage Hawks fans as we're in a rebuild here. It's okay to be excited about stuff. You don't have to project that Nick Lardis might not be as great as Alex DeBrincat or not, kid scored 70 goals. I think it's safe to say he's got a decent shot of being an NHL contributor. It doesn't mean he's going to score 70 NHL, and no one is saying that, but it's okay to be excited about some of this stuff. It's such an odd thing where we're suffering through a tough NHL season. All of the prospects that matter have had good years. Everyone that you're keeping an eye, there's been no one at any level where you're like, ugh, that looks like maybe a wasted pick. You might be saying, how good will this person be? How good will this player be? Will they reach the NHL? Sure. But they've all had successful years on good teams and or they're putting up massive numbers. I retweeted a stat about Sasha Boisvert tonight. And I'm going to try to find it as I kill. It's not that far back.
15 goals or more as a freshman at North Dakota.
This is from Brad Elliott Schlossman, who writes for the GF Herald. I don't know what GF means.
Grand Forks.
Thank you. Sasha Boisvert scored his 15th goal last night. Other UND, that's North Dakota, 15-goal freshman since 2000. Jackson Blake, Shane Pinto, Tyson Jost, Brock Besser, Danny Monte Cristo, TJ Oshie, Jonathan Taves, Ryan Duncan, Travis Zajac, Rostislav Spriko, love that name, Brady Murray, Zach Parise, and Brandon Bochenski. Blackhawks legend, Brandon Bochenski.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say Blackhawks legend Jonathan Taves, but yeah, definitely Brandon Bochenski.
I wouldn't give Taves legendary status over Bochenski. Not just yet.
Well, the goal Boisvert scored tonight was a nice ode to Jonathan Taves, the old number 9 at North Dakota, which Boisvert also wears. It was a little leg kick, forehand, backhand through the legs on a breakaway attempt. So shades of the old Taves right there. Yeah, I mean, with all these prospects, I think the thing that people fall into is they want to know exactly who they're going to be and what role they're going to play in the NHL right now, so that they can project, oh, okay, well, when he gets to the NHL, this is who he'll be, and this is where he'll slot in. It's just like, it's really hard to predict that.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to say where a lot of these guys are going to fall. There's projections. Yeah, you can say like, oh, he's scoring 70+ goals in the OHL. He can, if his skills translate, he can be a goal scorer at the professional league. But it all depends on how these guys translate as the competition grows, as the players that they're playing against are also becoming tougher. Like, and I see, some people being like, yeah, well, Lardis is scoring against high schoolers. It's his peers.
Yes. He's the league he's in.
He's 19 against other 17, 18, 19-year-olds.
Again, like, do you want him not making history against those people?
Yeah, it's relative
weird
to the competition. So yeah, it's gonna get tougher next year for him and for other guys that move up. But like with Artem Levshinov, as the competition has grown for him, as he's gone through playing in Belarus to playing in the USHL to college to the AHL, his game has grown and has reached those levels at each level he's gone up. And that's what you want to see from these guys.
Right.
As long as they're able to handle it as they keep taking those steps up, it's positive.
That's right. There's nothing to be frustrated about or cynical about. And if Nick Lardis shows up and is not a 70-goal scorer in the NHL, maybe he's 20. Maybe he's 25. You'll take that.
If Nick Lardis as a third-round pick becomes a regular and is a 20 to 25 goal scorer in the NHL, it's a win.
100%.
It's a huge win.
If he's Ryan Donato this year, that is a win of a pick.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to be excited. It's okay to have fun. It's sports. And I've said this before. Let's remember that this thing we're getting so angry about and frustrated about is men pushing a piece of rubber behind another man with a stick. That's all this is. So it's okay to enjoy it and not gnash teeth and pull your hair out single night about every single thing.
Here's another one for the books.
Okay.
It's more fun to have fun than not having fun.
Fun is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, do you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I have fun every day.
I'm making sure.
That's
Sarah
good.
knows. Especially today, National Women's Day.
It is National Women's Day.
Congratulations.
International Women's Day.
Shout out
right?
Holly.
Yeah.
I can't remember. There's a few other women that watch our show too pretty regularly.
Lots of women.
But Holly was the first person that came to mind, so shout out Holly.
I don't see Holly tonight.
I saw her. She's
okay.
there.
She's in there? Okay.
All right, good.
Anyways, tell all your women happy International Women's Day.
I will. When's International Men's Day?
Yeah.
How come that don't happen? All right, we got to talk about it. Sarah, can you pull up the slide for the class that I screen capped off Fubo? This
was not a shot on goal.
This was not a shot on goal for Connor Bedard.
Boy.
Look, man, he's not selfish. We at least can admit that it is not selfish, that he is not a selfish player. If you are listening on the podcast,
I beg him to be selfish here.
On your screen is Connor Bedard with the puck on his stick, wide open. Annunen trying to square up to him.
He's basically between the hash marks of the face-off dots.
In a very panicked, who is that? Is that Spencer Stastny? Yes, I think it's Spencer Stastny. Looking over his right shoulder saying, oh, dear God, there's Connor Bedard wide freaking open. And then Connor Bedard passed that puck back to Landon Slaggert.
He's not even looking at the goal. Oh, man, Connor.
And by the way, Mr. Slaggert, you could have shot that puck too. And then he sent it right back to Bedard. But
he said, I'm not open.
Slaggert
you are.
Was like, what are you doing?
What? You're the open one.
Dude, what are you doing?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating in that moment. And you saw it immediately from Bedard, too. As soon as Slaggert gave him the puck back, I think he shot it. It got blocked, went up into the netting or something like that. Or it was saved. I can't remember.
On it.
Yeah, he whiffed on it, and then he saved it. Yeah. So then he basically like keels over and dies a little bit.
And Philip Forsberg, I wish that they were mic'd up.
Oh yeah, that
because I think Philip Forsberg was like, "Hey,
why didn't you shoot
from a veteran to a youngin? Next time you should shoot that."
Yeah. Bedard knew exactly what had happened, and my guess is that he thought someone. He saw the ghost of Shea Weber out there,
his teammate,
covering the open space where there was no one there. That's why he passed it back. That's my thought, but it's one of those things where he instantly knew I got to shoot it, and I would venture a guess that the next time Connor Bedard is that wide open, he's not going to try and think, let me be real cute here and do a one-touch pass back to someone who's covered.
Yeah, definitely a frustrating moment. Bedard's numbers on the day, had an assist, +1, 22:30 of ice time, had 4 shots on goal, 6 shot attempts, was also tagged with 3 giveaways. This is more on the side of better. He also would have had the assist had Louis Crevier's goal stood. He would have had the primary assist on that one too. So last 2 games, better. That is a really bad moment. Mm-hmm. And no one knows that more than Connor Bedard. And I think it was Clout that said it in the chat that have him make those mistakes now rather than 3 or 4 years from now when they're trying to make the playoffs and those sort of things. Right. That's fine. These are all young players. We have said since Seth Jones has been traded, time to play the kids, time to live with those mistakes that the kids will make. Connor Bedard still technically a kid, the second youngest player in the NHL right now. So
yeah,
that will be hopefully a lesson learned for him.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean, it goes back to, when, the dialogue around him was coming from the criticisms of the national media. And he said, look, I don't need to be told from someone outside of myself, hey, you made a mistake, or hey, you had a bad game or anything. Like, he knows exactly what he needs to work on, what he needs to do in different situations. And it goes down to actually executing it. And yeah, he's still kind of figuring that out at 19 years old, and it takes some time. A good stat to remember that was brought up again tonight because he scored his 100th point of the season. Nathan MacKinnon took 5 years before he reached a point per game season in the NHL. And it'll take Bedard some time. It also takes help around him too. But I think he's learning, and he's starting to figure out a little bit of what does and does not work. He's still working through a couple things that don't work, but I think slowly but surely he's figuring out. And through the final 18, 19 games of the season here, collectively as a group, I think the young guys can make some steps forward and, take away some of these mistakes. And you might actually see a couple games where they get over the hump and win some of these games like this.
When the Hawks hire John Cooper next year, they can hang the poster in the locker room of him telling Team Canada, someone be selfish and score a goal.
And then was that
And then Connor McDavid scored a goal in
Yeah.
overtime, and they won the Four Nations face-off.
should put that on a T-shirt.
I just, it is. We were talking about that. Well, we got to hit the break zone. We're going to continue this conversation in a moment on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Hit the like button. And as we discussed, it is National Women's Day, International Women's Day, more importantly. And you do not want to smell for the woman in your life. You owe it to her, who does most of the stuff you need done, because you're an idiot like me, to smell good. That's why you need Mando. Mando is a men's deodorant brand that's hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. That's every aspect. And we're talking about your feet. We're talking about your armpits. We're talking about your belly button. You ever smelled your belly button?
I can't bend that way, no.
No, that's weird. I don't know. Your newts, your crack, your grundles, and everything in between.
Multiple grundles.
Your grundi. Mando scents are geared towards men with options like bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport.
I love that movie, Cloverwoods.
It is good. It's good stuff. I do use it. I use the stick deodorant. I also use the acidified wash bar, and it's really wonderful. They last forever. All their products are baking soda free and paraben free, clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, your Grundy without Mando is a 5 out of 10 stink level. That's bad. With Mando, it's a 0 out of 10. What more do you need to know? Get yourself some Mando right now. Their starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping is a special for our listeners. New customers will get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHGO at shopmando.com. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. SHOPMANDO. Use that code CHGO. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. The way you tell them is by using our code. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to grundle with Mando.
And to the question from Beach Picnic, TBD.
No, Mando is not edible.
I don't think you want it to be edible, but you could try it at home.
Do you ever put on deodorant and rub your face and your mouth is dry for the rest of the week?
No.
I've accidentally done that. Some of it gets on your hand.
Yeah, on your thumb or whatever, and you just go like this.
Itch your nose. And
No.
You're screwed.
Do not recommend.
I use spray deodorant.
Oh,
I don't
so
use
you're
a stick
smart.
one.
Smart.
Yeah. I
Nice.
use deodorant from Switzerland. It's a personal thing, just because I know Mando doesn't have any aluminum or metal, so I do like that.
That's good.
That's my biggest thing with deodorant is all the chemicals.
Yeah, you don't want to
Smart.
hurt yourself. Exactly.
Yep. And hey, speaking of metals, cars are made out of metal.
Wow.
And
what a segue.
if you need a new car, check out our friends at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fox Lake. You can head there right now. They're on Route 12 in Fox Lake to choose from their huge inventory of new Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Ramses vehicles. And you could shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with the friendly team of brand experts. Those at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram are there to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, they prioritize affordability, so you know that you won't overpay for the vehicle that you need. And with Ray's price promise, you can shop confidently with no add-ons, no hidden fees, ever. The price you see and hear is the price you pay. It's that simple. So go check out our partner today to shop one of Chicago area's largest inventories and find the right new vehicle for you and drive home happy. The team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram is the only one that we recommend. For more information, visit Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963.
Nice. Do we have any super chats, Sarah? What?
Boo.
It's super chatless Saturday? That's redonkulous.
What do we got to do? Put on dinosaur costumes?
I'm not doing that. Have you seen the memes of people wearing those and then someone puts fart spray in them and the people that start freaking out?
Oh, in the suit?
Yes.
Oh, God.
That's
when you need
You do that
Mando.
to someone, jail.
Right to
Sorry.
jail.
That's terrorism. You can't do that. A couple quotes rolling in post game. Here's Alex Vlasic. This is via Ben Pope on the Hawks 3-0-2 run. Vlasic says, quote, having the young guys here has helped a lot and bring that energy. It feels like a different environment. Everyone is playing for each other and putting their bodies on the line. Speaking of Alex Vlasic, Tuesday, 2:30.
Sweet.
Yep.
Can't wait.
Another one here. This is Sorensen. He says the first period we looked sleepy or tired or a combination of the two. Second period was good. Third period, we gave up too many pucks around the lines, which led to rush chances against, which led to too much zone time. That's correct. On the game-winning overtime goal, said there was a miscommunication on the Donato-Veleno line change in overtime. That led to the game-winning rush. So new player, adjusting to his new team, miscommunication, understandable. I saw someone respond to that saying, why is Veleno getting ice time in overtime? He was pretty solid defensively in this one. Wasn't generating a lot offensively, but did a good job on the PK. 3-on-3, you don't really need too much coaching on. Every team kind of plays it the same way, but yeah, the line change was not great.
Yeah, and the overtime defensive coverage too, from everybody that was on the ice for the Hawks. It just seemed like communication was poor tonight. It just seemed like guys were not in the right spots. It just seemed a little discombobulated when they had to defend. They controlled the overtime a little bit more than Nashville did, but Nashville was able to capitalize on the breakdown. So it's tough when you get to that point in the game, and then it's just like, you have a bad, coverage, you have a bad change, and you just can't recover from it. It's unfortunate, but I mean, again, it's young guys kind of still figuring things out at the NHL level. You're doing it on night 2 of back-to-back games in which you've traveled, and you've played overtime in both of those games. Like, there's a lot of empty tanks out there on the ice at that point, so it's tough. But again, you gotta find a way to get it done, and that's what these young guys are going to try and figure out at the NHL level now.
We do have a super chat now from Silver Cream, not a Mando product. It says, will Lardis be eligible to try out next year? Yeah, he'll be probably with Rockford next year.
Yeah, he'll turn 20, I think, in April, and so then he'll be age eligible.
July 8th.
Is it July? Okay, I thought it was April. He'll be age eligible to play in the AHL, and yeah, I mean, I'm imagining he will, get some significant playing time during the preseason and training camp in the preseason games, and see what you got with partial NHL lineups against other partial NHL lineups. Maybe
he'll be this year's AJ Spellizy, where we'll send him down sooner. Well, he's been pretty good, so let's keep him up here. Well,
I mean, look at Nazar coming into this past training camp and preseason. I think we all kind of penciled him to being ready to go at the NHL level. And he had an okay training camp, okay preseason showcase. Didn't really blow anybody away with what he was doing. So he went down to Rockford and then was over a point per game and then earned himself his call-up in December and hasn't looked back since. So not to say Lardis is going to do exactly that, but there's a path forward for him or for any of the young guys that we look at and say, oh, there's a chance for them to push for NHL time. If they don't get it in October, it doesn't mean their season's washed. There's plenty of opportunity to play your way up through Rockford and get opportunities. This is still going to be a young team with roster competition throughout the year next year. No one has etched their roster spot in stone, other than Connor Bedard, I'd say, and Alex Vlasic. On this team, like, guys are still going to have to fight for their NHL spots.
Another super chat from Brad. $2 says, greatest show as always, boys. We appreciate that, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
And Deadhawk has paid to make this comment. All City should give super chat money to hosts and producers. Well, they pay us a salary.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We get benefits and...
the super chat money, that goes to all of our events. That goes back right into the company. Yeah, we love it. But keep sending us your money and we'll be here for a long time then.
Yeah, that's right.
If you want, we'll give you our Venmo.
Yeah, or if you want to give us money directly, that can be arranged. I mean...
I can give you my number for a Zelle account.
Give you the,
hard to find any of us on Venmo.
Send you my QR code.
Try searching our names and see what happens. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. By the way, I just saw the Oilers are playing Dallas Stars tonight. 5-1 Oilers.
Wow. Well, looks like
trade Mikko Rantanen.
Mikko Rantanen is that meme of the Grim Reaper going door to door, apparently.
Yeah.
He's gonna kill Colorado and then Carolina and then Dallas.
Well, there's an interesting note about that, and a couple of people asked about sort of this peripheral area in the chat. I'm too tired. You know what I'm saying. Apparently, the Leafs offered Marner for Rantanen.
What?
Yeah. That's Elliot Friedman reported that today. That the Leafs said, we will give you Mitch Marner for Mikko Rantanen. And Marner turned it down.
Marner blocked it?
Marner didn't want to go. Marner is hell-bent on, it seems like,
going to free agency, or at least holding off negotiations until the summer. Chris Johnston from The Athletic wrote a long piece on Mitch Marner today. I tweeted it during the game. I encourage everyone to check it out. There's going to be a lot of teams after Mitch Marner, and there's some people in here saying, like, what happens if there should be
Kyle Davidson doesn't get Mitch Marner?
Then you go to plan B.
I would say start counting on him not getting Mitch Marner.
Yeah, if he goes to free agency, there will be 31 teams that don't get him. The same amount of teams that don't win the Stanley Cup every year.
Yeah.
But Davidson has to go in, has to be in on him, and it's probably going to need to offer
14?
the most money that he might see. And I think that's because that is a guy, as pipe dreamy as it has been, that we've talked about Rantanen and Marner and Kaprizov being a free agent next after the 2026 season. As much as that sounds like, those are the moves and the guys that Kyle Davidson needs to be in on to bring into this team to be that like Marian Hossa style of free agent signing, where you bring him into this team that is coming together, these pieces are coming together, and then it puts you over that hump. And then it's a player that you also invest in for, 7 years. That'd be the maximum contract you could offer a guy like that. But that is the window of those types of players is prime. That's who they have to go after. And if they swing and they miss, the swing is at least part of it. If you miss, you have to have a good plan B behind it.
If he's available, if he reaches free agency, there's no way they don't swing at him.
Right.
I also think that they will attempt to try to trade for his rights before he reaches. If Toronto decides he's walking, there's nothing we can do about it, we got to cut our losses and get something. When you talk about stockpiling draft assets, right?
Yeah.
And then you could also, if you needed to move a roster player to make room for Mitch Marner, would Toronto like a Jason Dickinson? Probably. If it's Dickinson and several first-round picks and maybe a prospect you really like, maybe you throw Kevin Korchinski into it to get Mitch Marner.
I mean,
if you know he's signing for 8 years.
Well, yeah, if you know. Yeah, if you know.
You have to know.
You have to know.
You can't do what Carolina
you can't.
did.
Yeah, you can't say we're going to give up this haul to talk to you first, and then he says, no, I'm still going to free agency.
Now, there's some people in the chat throwing out some very big numbers. Brad says 16 by 8. Someone else said 16 million a year. I think Archivist Crow is probably closest to it with about 14.5. I don't think, like, if you pay Mitch Marner more than 15 million, he's going to be Seth Jones 2.0 here. Everyone's going to hate him. He's going to end up costing you a player down the road. He's probably not going to be worth that kind of money. And I know the Hawks have to overpay, but I do think paying him, Leon Draisaitl money is more than fair. It's more than fair. Draisaitl makes, where is it?
He makes
14.
Right? 14.
Starting next year.
Yeah.
And then Connor McDavid will shatter that because
Connor
he's a UFA after next season.
Right. And he should make upwards of 20 million. That's what he's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, 14.5. Edward the First, $10 super chat. Would you guys give him 7 by 15 million? Yeah, I would.
I would do that.
He is that type of player. And if Mitch Marner was the player he is in Dallas or in Carolina or in Colorado or anything like that, I don't think there would be this stink on him that there is with him being.
It's always got to be a stink on somebody in Toronto.
Being part of the Maple Leafs and the way that they've, performed in the postseason collectively as a group. He's a guy that relatively always shows up. Guys, guy that's 90 plus points a year, guy that was a Selke finalist as a wing.
He's Hossa. With more scoring.
He's just not as big and as strong as Hossa, which fine, but you have a two-way guy who can put up 90 points. I think that's the perfect kind of guy to put in on your top line with Connor Bedard. You get him in his prime of his career in late 20s. I just think it makes a ton of sense. Same thing it made a ton of sense for the Blackhawks to think that Rantanen would be that kind of guy and worth that kind of money. Now he goes to Dallas, which doesn't have state income, so $12 million straight up in Texas probably equates to $14 million in Chicago without doing the tax math on that. But yeah, I mean that's what it would take for a guy like Marner. And as much as we're conditioned to believe that, oh my God, $15 million a year, highest paid player in the league, like you're gonna handcuff yourself. With the cap going up, it's not the days of Stan Bowman and everyone gets the maximum money, the maximum turn, and the maximum protection, and you're left with pennies to work with at the end of it. It's not like that, and the salary cap isn't going up maybe $1 million every year. It's making significant jumps, and it's projected out 3, 4, 5 years down the road to make these significant jumps. And teams are operating with that information, so the salary cap's not going to be what we've known it to be the last handful of years.
Yeah, I think you got to look ahead to if Bedard pans out to be what most think he's going to be. He's going to command a similar deal at some point too. I'm doing it. The Hawks. If the Hawks are going to get Mitch Marner, it's going to be because they pay him the most.
Right.
That is their ace up the sleeve. That's all they have. And you have Connor Bedard and the intangibles we talk about sometimes. But like if Detroit comes calling or other teams with a crap ton of cap space who are a little farther along, it's probably going to be more appealing to Marner to go have a chance to win. Whereas this team, even with him next year, is still probably 2 years away from a playoff spot, you'd say, at least.
I mean, if you're putting Marner on the projections of what this team could look like next year, I think they're probably still short of a playoff team next year. But the year after, you'd hope that all the growth that those guys have is you're on that line of making the playoffs.
And then you do have enough money to bring in somebody else too. So if you want to bring in a Nikolai Ehlers or
you could try
Brock Besser or like that second tier of free, and it is honestly Marner and the second tier of free agents.
Right.
There is no one now that Rantanen's off the board. There's no one on Marner's level as a free agent. So maybe you try and wait to see if Kaprizov becomes available. But then Minnesota's got a crap ton of money coming off the books with the Suter and Parise things going away and some other and Fleury and all these big contracts they've got. So, and I think Bill Guerin's on the record as saying we will not be outbid for Kaprizov. So if he wants to go somewhere else, he will. But there's no guarantee that he will want to do that. He seems pretty comfortable up there in Minnesota. And I think, your argument would be, does Kaprizov think he's got a chance to win there? I think Minnesota right now is probably the healthiest roster-wise as the Wild have ever been. They've got a lot of good young players coming up.
And he's the biggest part of it.
Yes, 100%. I mean, if he leaves, you could scratch that whole thing off. But, when you look at some of the young talent that team has, like they're going to be okay for a while. So, I don't know. That's tough. And that's where, you got to start looking at trade possibilities for guys we're not even really expecting. And you and I kind of got into this discussion during the intermission today. Like, could they try to get David Pastrnak? I don't know. But I think Boston's ready to just hand the reins to him and McAvoy and Swayman and say, all right, it's your team now. I don't see them going full rebuild.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that they would.
I just don't know where that's coming. And Kyle Davidson has said many times, and he said it yesterday, it takes two to tango. And it does. Like, if Mitch Marner never becomes available, if him and the Leafs work it out, you can't be mad.
Yeah. Well, that's why you got to have plans B through Z. You can't just say, our plan is to sign Mitch Marner, and that's the only way that we're going to figure out this rebuild and get to the other side of it. Because if that was the case, and then he signs in Toronto and you're out of plans, well, yeah, that's just dumb. That's dumb GMing. So that Davidson has got a bunch of plans a bunch of different ways for things to go depending on who is and is not available, and what they're willing to do financially, or managing the assets that they have, whether it's draft picks, whether it's young players. The name escapes me off the top of my head, but they brought in the
the cap guy. God,
I can't remember his name.
He was with Minnesota, right?
Yes, he was.
Chris O'Hearn.
O'Hearn. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So they brought him in recently. So they're focusing specifically on being able to, understand where they're at with their salary cap, with their future books, and how they're going to negotiate contracts with guys in house or with free agents and make this work. So it's more than, as much as we've been focusing on like they got to get Marner or Rantanen or all this stuff. Those are the big things.
Yeah.
And that's where the big focus is. But Kyle Davidson and his assistant GM, Havel, they know the multitude of ways that this can play out, and they've planned for it.
Yeah. A couple of people mentioning Anders Lee from the Islanders. He's 34 years old, has 1 year left at $7 million on his deal. That's a guy who has ties to Chicago. I think his wife is from here.
Well,
and before his last contract with the Islanders, he was close to signing with the Hawks, and the Islanders said, "What if we made you captain?" He said, "Sounds good. I'm in." So he went there. So here are the UFAs this summer: Tavares, Marner, Jamie Benn, I'll say Nicholas Backstrom, but no. Brock Besser, the ageless Claude Giroux, even though he's 37, Brad Marchand, Nikolai Ehlers, Brock Nelson, Taylor Hall, Andrew Mangiapane. You see where we're going. From there's just such a big drop off. Sam Bennett's very interesting. That's a culture kind of a guy.
That's like a very good, like he's the other guy you get.
The only thing I worry about though is like how much is Sam Bennett a product of being on the Panthers?
Sure.
Like I go back in the day and think of like the Hawks brought in John Clem from the Avalanche because he was this shutdown defenseman when they won the cup with Forsberg and Roy and Sakic. Mm-hmm. Like this guy's going to solidify our blue line. You're like, oh, wait a minute. He's actually Connor Murphy.
Right.
Like that's nothing against him, but he's not a franchise player. I don't know. Like there's just
Sam Bennett feels like I'm sure he's influenced by being on the Panthers and being around that atmosphere, but he also played like that when he was in Calgary too.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
It just seems like that's
that's not a guy I want to go. I don't know if I'm going $12 million for Sam Bennett or anything like that.
No, you're not.
But I don't think that I wouldn't be concerned with that with Kyle Davidson.
No,
because
and like I said, like Sam Bennett is a really good guy if he's your second best signing of a free agency class.
All right. Now some people are asking about offer sheets.
Yeah. You can be in.
This is a more interesting list. Gabe Vilardi, 25. Mason McTavish, 22. Noah Cates, 26. Kaapo Kakko, 24. Philip Kurashev. Can have him. Let's see. Marco Rossi. Alex Holtz. McBain.
Jack McBain.
Matthew Coronado. Oh, I really like Matthew Coronado.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, he's good.
Connor Dewar.
Yeah, I mean, McTavish would be great, but I cannot imagine a world in which the Ducks get rid of him.
No.
Same thing with Rossi. That would be great. I just don't see how the Wild will let him go.
Yeah.
But some great interdivision tomfoolery with offer sheets, like that would be
fun.
That would be
if nothing else.
Totally. That would be awesome.
It does seem like though the Blues, like since they did that last summer, it feels like maybe teams are a little more willing to do it now.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, well, no one does it, so we shouldn't do it. And then they did, because it wasn't the last one before them. Wasn't it Hjalmarsson?
Offer sheet that like went through.
That the Sharks offer sheet.
The Sharks are offer sheeted Hjalmarsson, but the Hawks matched.
But it cost them Niemi. So the Sharks got Niemi. So the Sharks knew that, all right, we're going to offer sheet Hjalmarsson. If they match
we're going to make you overpay for this guy that you don't want to. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, because the Hurricanes offer sheeted Kakaniemi and then got him.
Yeah.
And then wasn't it was it reversed? Montreal offer sheeted somebody else did Montreal offer sheet Natchez or Aho? I think it was Aho.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then
here's a list.
And then Hurricanes did it to Kotkaniemi, and then Montreal was like, okay, take him.
06, the Flyers offer sheeted Ryan Kessler. What a flyer he would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Vanek was offer sheeted by the Oilers in 07. Dustin Penner by the Oilers in 07. David Backes by Vancouver. Oof. Steve Bernier by the Blues. Hjalmarsson by the Sharks. Shea Weber by the Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan O'Reilly by the Flames. There's been a bunch.
Yeah,
Kotkaniemi was offered by the Hurricanes to the Canadiens.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it happens, but I think the success that St. Louis has had with Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg, I think also plays into it. It's not just the fact that they did the offer sheet and then the Oilers mashed it. It's that they did it, they got the guys, and then they ended up being the guys that they hoped that they could be on their team. So, yeah, I mean, it is a viable avenue for Davidson to go to try and get somebody. And there's definitely guys out there, like you went through the list. There's some intriguing names out there that would be instant impacts to this team.
Yep. All right. Super chat. Yeah. All right. Let's do that. Lebowski 5 says, can Marner be the best forward on a Cup champion? You would be paying him like it. He could be the second best forward if Bedard's the best.
Sure. Yeah. I think, you have a guy in Marner that can be the best player on a team, and until Bedard goes over that hump of, he's above a 90-point player like Mitch Marner, until he proves that I think we all believe he can get to that point. That's what we hope he can get to that point. But until he proves it, if Marner's on this team next year, I'm thinking he's the best player on the roster until Bedard surpasses him, in a tangible way.
Right. $2 super chat from Brandon. Cash the chips in for Brady Tkachuk. Sure.
You can try. I feel like he likes. I think if Ottawa gets into the playoffs and they get serious as an organization, as a contender, and kind of figure this thing out moving forward, it's going to be harder to get Brady out of there.
Yeah. I also worry about guys like that and the way they play, how long of a shelf life they're going to have where they're effective.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Tkachuks are probably exceptions to that, but just look at the stuff that Matthew's been through already. I don't think he's going to be really good for a short window. He's not going to have like Patrick Kane style longevity where he's late into his 30s still performing at a similar level. I think that, just look at the decline of Jeremy Roenick as his career went on. Right. He went from 50 goals electrifying to injury riddled and kind of a depth player.
He also had off the ice stuff going on too.
Sure.
But yeah, it's playing that style takes its toll. Look at their dad, just how his career panned out. They play similarly. They grew up in that fashion, and they're definitely like both throwback style players to that era of power forward and guys that can put up big numbers and also lay big hits and punch you in the face. So yeah, I think there is a shelf life on that, but when you play that way, you also know that you have to be smart and you learn to pick your spots and you learn how to take care of your body when you have time to rest. So I think technology and just the knowledge of guys that play that way is different when it comes to longevity, but it is still something you have to consider for sure.
All right, time to name the fourth star of the game. The winner today, Ilya Mikheyev, with a goal. He's been really good, especially lately, up to 14 goals on the year. Potentially could be a 20-goal scorer, which...
Had, 18 games left?
Yeah.
This was 60,
just 6 more 64? Goals?
He could, yeah. I mean, he's got 4 in his last 6 games, so
right,
keep that up.
Again, we talk about these trades that, and he's obviously not a Mitch Marner level player, but these trades that Kyle Davidson seems to find.
It was Mikheyev, Lafferty, and a second for a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
So basically, you got Mikheyev and a second for
it was a salary
for
dump.
A 4th. Yeah, and it worked out really well.
Yep. I mean, you've got that one. You've got Jason Dickinson.
The Dickinson was Riley Stillman for Dickinson and a second.
Yeah.
You got Sam Renzel and Peter Mrazek for a year and 2.5 years. For what was that, a second round pick that they gave up?
I think so.
Yeah. Like it's definitely those kinds of moves. Kyle Davidson's been really good at getting the better return out of and getting the bang for your buck. Now it'll come down to, as he needs to make bigger moves, being able to still be able to get that. And so far, so good with the Seth Jones deal. I know you're going to look at the rest of Jones's contract and the time frame that Spencer Knight plays in Chicago to kind of really balance it out. But so far, so good. I think everyone would say they're very happy with Spencer Knight.
Yes, so far. All right, St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner. Head to our merch shop, store.allcitynetwork.com, to get our St. Patty's Day collection. You see it there on your screen. If you're a diehard, you're going to save 20%. If you want to become a diehard, you can get one of those bad boys for free.
Nice.
So jump on it, take care of the deal, represent CHGO, and show off whether you're actually Irish or Irish for just a day, you can rock that merch on St. Patrick's Day and beyond. It's great. There's also a Notre Dame shirt that we sell.
Yeah, we got a lot of college shirts.
You can go both ways on that one if you want. So lots of great stuff, as always, at our merch shop, allchgo.com. We'll take you right there, but it is store.allcitynetwork.com. If you want to become a diehard, scan that QR code on our screen or go to allchgo.com, where you will get a free shirt or 20% off all of our merch, events, takeovers, watch parties, access to our members-only Discord. Thursday, I did an hour long on the Discord voice channel, just talking to folks. So lots more of that stuff to come. We appreciate you being here with us tonight. We are off tomorrow. We are back Monday. We'll talk to you then on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.